My mom created a fun way for us to learn the most important rules of life. Yah's command.
With Yah's Big Ten commands, we get to see His will's best for us.
Keep Yah first.
No graven images.
Don't take Yah's name in vain.
Remember Shabbat and keep it holy.
Honor your parents.
Do not kill.
Mr. and Mrs., don't cheat.
Don't steal.
Don't tell lies.
Don't covet.
This changes everything. Get your set of Yah's Big Ten commands at Big Ten Designs today.
Shalom, shalom, family. How y'all doing tonight? Oh my goodness, guys. I am so excited to be here. A little sleepy as usual, but nevertheless, I am so excited to be here with y'all tonight. We have a very special evening with a very special guest. And many of y'all already know who this phenomenal woman is, who I'm going to be getting ready to bring on. But for those of you who don't, she has been doing some incredible work on 2 different platforms, and we're going to get into that a little bit tonight. But before we do, what I want to do is express to y'all, those of you who have been encouraging us with CFEG, how grateful I am to you. We already have some students who have enrolled from the Ashonda at Large platform, and I'm so excited about that they are getting to take advantage of what we do at our virtual school. But we want to extend that out to so many more of you, so many more families. So we have an open enrollment, and what CFEG has decided to do is to extend a 10% discount off of full tuition for all Ashonda at Large family members. So I'm going to pin in the comment section the website and also the 10% off code, which is Ashonda 10. Okay, just Ashonda 10. You put that in there, and then you can get off 10% off of your full tuition, which is very good, right? Our tuition is not bad at all, but it's even better when you can get a discount in this day and time. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, family, I'm so excited to be here tonight. I love y'all so much. Thank you for coming in. And also welcome to our listeners who are joining us from the person I'm going to be speaking to tonight, Ms. Demetra K. So welcome to all of you who are listening from Demetra K's platform, either on YouTube or on Facebook. Welcome to the Ashonda at Large family and platform. And we are so blessed to have y'all. And family, you know, I'm going to give you some love in the chat. I appreciate y'all. Throw up them fire emojis. But right now, at this time, I'm not going to let her wait any longer. I'm going to bring Miss Demetra K in the building. Y'all say shalom to our sis. Peace and blessings. How you doing, sis?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm good. I'm feeling great. I'm glad to have you on here tonight. I'm telling you, it's been one of these rainy days, but it was, you know, this anticipation leading up to having you here. So thank you so much for coming on, and welcome to Ashonda at Large.
And thank you so much for having me. It is my pleasure. As I was telling my subscribers a minute ago, I love when people invite me on and interview me, because usually I'm in the driver's seat. And so I like to just sit back and, you know, have a conversation.
look who came into the building tonight.
I see you all baldy locks and came up here. That's my partner in crime right there.
That's right, Brother Donovan. Shalom, peace and blessings, and salute to you, my brother. Thank you so much for being here to support your sis. Y'all have us cracking up at night, listening to all the conversations. It's so blessed to hear, you know, y'all just go back and forth with your different viewpoints. So thank you so much again, Brother Donovan, for coming in. And Sister Demetra, let's go ahead and get started on this conversation, because we got a couple of things we want to dissect tonight. So we're going to start off with you, your background. Where are you from? Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and a little bit about your family life, because, you know, all of that goes into play when you decide to get on these YouTube streets and Facebook and be a communicator, especially in Black media the way that you are. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, where do I start? Okay, well, I am from Southern California, although I was born in Northern California. I was born into the Nation of Islam. So y'all hear me talk about that quite a bit, but I also converted to Christianity later on in my life. So I have I guess, a multifaceted religious background, although I am not practicing any religion per se at this moment. Professionally, as you guys know, I am a contributor on the African Diaspora News channel. Plus, I have my own channel, the Demetra K Show. I also have a consulting business, Demetra K Consulting, where I help people become more verbally and visually appealing to their audience. So that's basically working with people. Let's say if they have a platform, they might want to, start a YouTube channel or something like that, and they maybe need a little bit more polishing. So I help them do that. Oh gosh, educational wise, I have 2 degrees, a bachelor's in communication and a master's in public relations.
Oh my goodness.
And everything else you can think of, I've probably done it. So.
Hold on a second. I got to get my fan right. This is going to be my fan for a minute. Woo, that was a lot. That was a lot, y'all.
I have a 30-year-old daughter, so.
30-year-old, stop. Okay, now you know I'm going there, right? You know I'm going there. Like, all right, fam, we already know the deal. Black, what they say, don't crack. Okay.
Sometimes it does, though.
You do. You got to take care of the melanin. You got to take care of the melanin.
Yeah.
But that is phenomenal. That's so, great just having the background that you do, because it gives you an opportunity to really communicate on diverse levels with diverse people. So, being able, especially when you come from the religious background that you come from, many of us on my platform, we came out of Christianity as well. I was a Christian for probably about 18, 19 years. And then, as the Most High sought to wake me up to his scriptures, his word, and see that the Israelites, they look like us. Them folk look like us. You know what I'm saying? So he did that. And ever since, my life has changed. And as far as, religion is concerned, it's not about that. It's about having faith in Yah for me and being born again. But I am so interested in what's going on with you, in particular with your views on Black media, because one thing I know about you is that you have a heart for our community. You have a heart to see us, come into these conversations that oftentimes are kept away from us. Have you noticed, like, being in Black media, how conversations from the mainstream are often kept from us to keep us ignorant to what's going on? What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, no, I absolutely agree. As Dr. Claude Anderson often speaks of, we being Black people in America own less than 3% of the media. Everybody else owns the rest. And so, of course, we don't always see a lot of things about us, and the things that we do see often is negative, right? Every once in a while, they might give us a little fluffy piece of what's going on in Black America. So it is very important for us, you and myself, and African Diaspora News Channel, and all the other platforms that are Black, to do the Black community a good service by giving us the things that we need. And it's, entertainment is cool every once in a while, but I think we as Black people in America, we are overly entertained, right?
Right.
And that's what they usually give us, is entertainment, keep them laughing, keep them dancing, and keep the pertinent information away from them. So that's why I really love Black media, especially when it's done right, because our job is really to, as they say, resurrect the dead, right? So
yes. And I like that you said that, resurrect the dead, right? Because seeing that you come from a Christian background, you're probably a little familiar with the scriptures. Ezekiel chapter 37, it talks about the dry bones that are waking up. And that's what I feel like what's happening with us as a community, like the things that have been kept from us to keep us docile and dumb, especially in the level of entertainment, right? Where we're just constantly being bombarded with these negative images through art. When we as a people are artistic and we set the tone, we set the parameter for how all of society moves. So that there's a hidden hand that comes in and tries to control the narrative around our artistry. So when I look at that and I see that we as a people now are coming together and we're saying we want to speak our own narrative. We want to speak our own voices. We don't want the mainstream to control our voices through ABC or NBC or Fox News. We want to be able to use these platforms now to come out and to speak our own stories. I think that's a phenomenal thing that you all are doing. So with that in mind, you spoke a minute about African Diaspora News Channel. That's where many of us first got a chance to see your beautiful face. So tell us, how did you get connected with Uncle Phil, as they call him, in African Diaspora?
Well, I know a lot of y'all call him Uncle Phil, but I call him Brother Phil because I'm a little bit older than, than Brother Phil. But no, I've actually interacted with Brother Phil here and there before I got on the channel. There were some things that were being said, and I defended Brother Phil. I love everything that he is doing, and so as I moved to Houston, because I'm originally from Southern California, I moved to Houston. I saw that he had made a post on Twitter, and I think it was maybe about contributors or something. I said, "Hey, I'm available," and that's really how I got started on the African Diaspora News Channel. I was like, "Yo, put me in," and
Love it.
That's really how I got started, and I love everything that we are doing over there. There is no platform like the African Diaspora News Channel. Of course, y'all know there's contributors from all over the African diaspora, and we bring different points of views in regards to what's going on in the Black world. So I love it. I never ever want to leave African Diaspora News Channel ever. And like I said, anybody who knows me know how I feel about Brother Phil. We gonna get him up over Brother Phil. I don't care what nobody say.
See, that's love right there. That's love, and that's the kind of love we have to have for one another. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And that's what I like is that dynamic, that being willing to come to the defense of one another, because for far too long we've been divided. We have to, as a people, in spite of our differences, be able to come together on our agreements and be able to then work through and hash out our disagreements in a way that is productive. And I think that that's one of the beautiful things that I see about that platform, because he's very diverse himself. He can go into multifaceted conversations, but particularly with African diaspora, there is a concentrated effort at unifying the diaspora and the continent. And I love that. I love that because what it's done is it's opened up our eyes to be able to see particularly Africa in a whole new light. What are your thoughts about that? Like seeing the progression over the years of seeing us as a people, looking at Africa differently than what was fed to us all of our lives, especially in school.
Well, I actually had an opportunity to visit Africa in 2019, along with Donovan and my daughter. And of course, never visiting the continent, you hear certain things. Even before we made the trip to Africa, we heard some negative things like, "Oh my God, y'all better watch out. They doing this and that and the other." And so once we got over there, it was like, of course, we didn't believe the silly stuff like they running around with spears in the jungle and, you're going to see a giraffe walking down the street or something like that. We didn't believe the silly stuff. But once we got over there, it was like, these are our people. These are our people, very loving people, very hardworking people. And, that's why it's important to follow Black media, because the white-owned media, they're not going to give you the real about Africa. They're going to give you the horror stories, just like they give the horror stories about Black people in America. So the one thing about the African Diaspora News Channel is, there's contributors from the continent, and they're going to give it to you, raw from their point of view. And you do learn a lot more about Africa just watching the channel. Of course, we got Sister Juan Gale over there, who's doing a phenomenal job with painting Africa from her point of view. So you're going to learn a lot. Trust me.
That is awesome. Matter of fact, I want to put this comment right here that says, Demetra K is one of my favorite journalists when it comes to our people, a voice that speaks truth to power. And I think that's what it is. I think it's because your voice is it's powerful. And, for me, whenever I see a strong sister, look, Donovan over here thinking we're gonna overthrow the men, but no, we know we need our brothers. We stand in side by side. When we see a powerful, strong sister with a strong voice, it makes such a difference, right? Because oftentimes, again, going back to the narrative about us is that we're not intelligent, we're not well spoken, we're not able to communicate on a level that brings us a positive light versus what is pushed into the atmosphere about us. So having your voice, having Sister Wangel's voice on the continent for us is so, so impactful. Now, the question I have for you concerning your work on Demetra K, and then we could definitely get into your other work as well, but your work on the Demetra K show, that's it takes a little bit of a different spin. You incorporate all kinds of topics about us into just this one show. So what was the idea? What was the design in mind when you were crafting Demetra K show versus what you're doing on African Diaspora?
Well, if I must be honest, I got to give my boy Donovan credit, because when I started going live per se, I started going live on Facebook when it first started out, right? And so I was just doing it there, and Donovan was always on my bumper. He's like, you got to do something else. You got to put it on YouTube. You got to go larger. So I started, he had a studio at his house because he does podcasting and stuff. So I was going over there every Sunday doing the live show. Then we started streaming to YouTube and other places. And so the vision really was just to have a conversation, because we are not, as they say, a monolith. We are multifaceted, and we talk about a lot of things. But if you believe the media, they in the media make you think that all Black people want to do is just be entertained, right? And of course, y'all know we act a fool on my channel, so we're entertaining. But we like to, give the information, and we also invite people on the show to have a conversation. So it's just really having a conversation about everything. So.
Yeah. One of the things that I like about what you do is that you really do invite everyone to the conversation, right? So you spend a lot of time going through the comment section and reading our comments and just, getting to hear our point of view, right? So that everybody's voice is heard. I love that you bring that element, because a lot of times, when you're on these platforms, you're so trying to be concentrated on what your topic is. And next thing you know, it's like you're not, communicating with the people who are there supporting you. But you don't do that. You put Donovan on hold, be like, hold on a second, such and such said, and next thing you know, it's a whole different conversation segue. It's a whole different conversational piece that arises from being able to listen to your audience. So I think that is phenomenal. But, one of the talking points that comes up often on your channel is the issue of politics. And I know that's a heavy one among our community, because we got a lot of folk, and I'm not just saying within our platforms, that people in our platforms, they're more aware, but a lot of our people tend to lean towards one particular party. And it seems like, we're trying to break that up a little bit, even though the other party ain't no better. Well, what are your thoughts when it comes to what's happening currently? Like, we got these elections that are coming up, and, it's supposed to be these presidents that are competing against Biden and all that stuff that's going on. What is your perspective on the current political climate and how it's affecting us as a people, especially since you brought up Dr. Claude Anderson?
Well, Dr. Claude Anderson says we as Black people are the only group of people that vote as a block for our oppression, right? We just do. We feel like we need to be loyal to one party, and come on, let's keep it a buck. We know what that party is. That is the Democratic Party. I was a Democrat at one point in time too, but it's when you become more aware and it's, to me, I don't know. Sometimes I always say maybe I'm from Mars or something, because it's not really that, to me, it's not that hard to really ascertain. It's like, okay, if I'm giving my vote to something, shouldn't I be getting something for it? And
right.
Then you ask yourself, well, am I getting something from voting for this? And you say no. So then you have to ask yourself, because we're going to be logical, why do I continue voting for something and I'm getting nothing? But unfortunately, we as Black people, and this is just true, we are very emotional people, especially when it comes to politics. And then when it comes to the Democrats, we have been sold and told that the Black people, the Democrats are for you, that are party of the people, and they're the party for the people. And you think about it, when you're for something, that means you advocate for them. Now, I know somebody is saying, well, the Republicans don't either. We ain't talking about the Republicans, because the Republicans don't come to our churches. They don't come to our schools. They don't send stripper buses through the community. And, the fisher, they don't do all of that. They're not really trying to get our vote like the Democrats. And so we are too emotional. Let somebody say, oh, I'm not gonna vote for the Democrats this time. Oh my God, you're the worst
Seriously.
person ever. And it's like, so you gonna demonize me because I started to think logically instead of emotionally?
Right, exactly, exactly. And I've seen it over the years. Like I was telling my audience the other day that when it came to voting, like, I am a non-voter, but I'm very aware of what's going on politically. That's my vote, is not voting, is resisting, because what I see is the same two-party system that plays the games on us equally. They just do it in different fashions. So you have the Republicans who are just vocal, they're out loud, they let us know off the top, off the rip, they are not interested in us. How many ways can they say it? They do not care about what our best interest is. But when it comes to the Democrats, they always present themselves as a party that cares about us. But yet, really, we know that they're just, for collectively, we can obviously see that they're using us for our vote because nothing ever gets done. There is no transaction, as you said. It's no, okay, well, I'm going to take your votes and I'm going to look at your concerns and I'm going to address it in any tangible way. It's always symbolism and trinkets. And that really bugs me about our people, that we don't see the game being run on us every 2 to 4 years. It's the same thing over and over again. So I've even heard people say, like, when I point out the obvious problems of the Biden administration, namely Biden, they'll say things like, well, you don't want to get Trump back in office. And I'm like, okay, hold on a second here. That has nothing to do with the fact that the Biden administration is causing our people to collectively suffer. It's not a Biden or a Trump issue. The facts of the matter is that our people are the one who voted in the man who said, you ain't black if you don't vote for Joe Biden. Like, come on. This is what we voted in collectively as a people. How do we not see that that is a slap in our face? And one thing about us as a people, we don't tolerate disrespect, right? But when it comes to politics, it's like we throw all of that out the window. And then all of a sudden now it's vote blue, as Prada Judah said. How do you say it? How do you say it, Prada Judah?
Is it vote blue no matter who?
No, vote blue no matter who. That's what it is. I mean, come on. We have to do better as a people. To me, I would think, and then I'll ask you what you think your resolution would be. I would think as a people that if we stop participating in the way that the system is collectively, that we can actually see the demise and see the fall of the system the way it is. Because to me, I feel like they need our continual participation to feed the engine, to feed the lies that have kept us in bondage for as long as we've had voting rights. What is your thoughts?
I know, absolutely. And to say that because somebody doesn't want to vote for Biden, they must be a Trump supporter, it's faulty deductive reasonings. Like, so if you're not a Biden fan, you must be, a Trump fan. It's like, well, no, I'm not either, but y'all not going to keep asking me to vote for it. It's not just Biden. He's part of the, the Democratic Party, but y'all not going to keep asking me to vote for them when they continuously thumb their noses at us, right? We see them do for everybody else but Black people. And like you said, they cannot get into office without Black people. But we sign up, like you said, for the disrespect, especially when Biden says, well, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black. Not nan Negro on this planet should have casted a vote for Biden after he said that. Like, you going to shame me into voting for more of nothing?
Exactly. The level of disrespect was so phenomenal to me. I just couldn't even fathom how we still came collectively to the voting polls and booths and cast his name in the ballot. And for me, I'm just going to keep it 100, y'all. Biden, the man has dementia. Okay. How do we not see this man can't even communicate? All right. He's shaking the air when he's supposed to be shaking people's hands. It's almost like this to me. I'm going to just let my hair down a little bit and just say what it is, what it is. Uh-oh. It's almost like the emperor is naked, right? And nobody wants to acknowledge that. It's like, hello, the only brave one in the room that's going to acknowledge that there's no clothes on this emperor is a little girl. Everybody else is feeding this delusion that somehow this party, and I don't care whether you're Black or white, that it's working for us as a people. It's not. It's not. And then what do we compete with most of the time? Aside from Obama, we compete with old white-haired men that all come from the same system of thought, just expressed differently, whether it's Democrat or Republican. They do not care, never have care for our people. And so we have to be the voice that says, you know what? I'm not going to care about anything that concerns you before I care about what concerns me. I'm gonna care about my house first. What are your thoughts, Demetra?
No, I totally agree with you. But in regards to Biden, and obviously he's got something cognitive going on. I mean, he's an older guy, right?
Right.
But I always say too, I don't necessarily blame the politicians that been in office for so long. I blame the people who keep voting for them. And it's like you said, and this is not trying to engage in ageism per se, but everybody can see that Biden has got some things going on. And so it's like, for one, the Democratic Party, they're wrong for putting him up as an option to vote for again. And why would you want to vote for somebody who's clearly not all the way there? Why do you think that he's optimal as far as representing the country? He's just not. He's got something going on. And so that's that whole ideology of vote blue no matter who, right? Of course, we saw Dianne Feinstein, senator from California, 90 years old. She just died and she was still occupying the seat. In fact, she was voting all the way up until to the time that she died. And we're seeing a lot of politicians like that. But the question is, how are they getting in office? They're not just getting in there on their own. We're voting or not voting, however you want to look at it, them into office. But to your other point, as far as not getting something for the vote, I always use this analogy. Let's say you go into the store and you want to buy a pair of red shoes. And the store clerk says, well, we don't have no red shoes, but we got blue shoes. And you say, no, I really, really need the red shoes. Well, I got blue shoes. Are you going to buy the shoes? Or are you going to say, I'm going to come back when you got something that I want to buy? It's the same thing with voting. You don't just vote because somebody tells you. That's not what I want to do. It's not serving my interest. I'll come back when there's something for me to buy or to vote for.
Exactly. I think that was well put. I'll come back I'll come back when there's something for me to vote for, when there's something for me to buy. And I think that we have that understanding when it comes to so many other things, but when it comes to the vote, that's what keeps us back. But also, it keeps us back in business. You spoke about your business. So let's talk a little bit about that, right? Because that's the conversation that unfortunately many of us also don't want to have when it comes to supporting Black business and building Black business. Tell us a little bit about your work, why it's important to you, and what your thoughts are just being and navigating in this business space among our people. What is it that we're doing right? What's we're doing wrong? What can we improve on?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. As I said, I wear many hats, but I do have a consulting business, Demetra K, consulting, as I said, where I help people become more verbally and visually appealing to their audience. And I work from everybody from teachers to business people to people who have podcasts or anything in between, really. And so as far as being Black in business, I think you kind of got to know what you're getting into. I was told years ago when I started doing this, that if I was working with white people, and at the time I lived in California when I started, if I was to go to Orange County, where the white people live, I'd be doing well, and unfortunately that's true. And, and not to shade our people, but sometimes we don't really see value in some of the things that we do, you know what I mean? But we've got a lot of work to do, but at all costs, we should try to support Black business as much as we can. One of my favorite memes, if you will, it says, I had a bad experience with a Black business, but I'm going to go back until we get it right. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times if we have a bad experience with a Black business, what is the first thing we do? We get on social media. Oh, they forgot to give me some napkins. Don't go there.
Yep.
And Taco Bell done messed up your order 52
Come
times
on now.
in the last 3 weeks, and you don't never say nothing about them. But when it comes to Black people, and it's like, well, did you go up to the counter and say, hey, can I get some napkins? Oh, I didn't put on that. Here's some, you know what I'm saying? Instead of going to this, because I just think it's we're conditioned to do that to each other. You know what I mean?
Talk about it. And it's not just in business. We're conditioned to do that relationally with one another. I was looking at a couple of shorts earlier, and there was this comedian, and she had almost like a old filter, she was pretending to be a grandmother, and she's talking to her granddaughter, and she's talking to her about her daughter, who is the granddaughter's mother. And so she starts talking about how her mother was no good. That's why she can't keep a man. This girl is like 5 years old she's talking to, right? And she calls her bastard. I ain't gonna say because I ain't trying to get in trouble on my platform. We ain't bringing no more you little into the room, okay? We're not doing this, right? So this is supposed to be, that's my little man in the back. This is supposed to be a joke. And I look in the comment section, and there's a ton of commenters supporting the way she's talking to this little girl. And they said, that's right, we need to bring back that old harsh grandma black love. And then I watched another video where it was a little girl who was maybe about a year old. And a little white girl came, and she was about 6 years old, and she snatched something from her. So the little girl started knocking the little white girl stuff down. And the majority of the comment section was saying, oh, that mama isn't right for teaching her daughter to tell her little girl to get revenge. She should turn the other cheek. So I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. So out of one comment section, the grandmother is talking to her granddaughter, seemingly, and telling her her mother is this, her mother is that, and you got claps for that. But when it comes to this other mother saying, defend yourself, all of a sudden you're not teaching your child right. I said, this to me comes right back to that slave mentality that we can beat each other down. We can talk to each other crazy. But when it comes to other ethnic groups collectively, all of a sudden now we got to get on our best Christian manners. I don't understand that one. Can you break that down for me? Help me to understand the dichotomy of our minds as to where we treat each other terribly, but then we can treat the others with respect.
Well, we scared of white folks.
Oh, come on now.
We're afraid of white folks. As my dad always say, we is scratching where we don't itch. When it come to white people, I don't want to upset them now. Leave the little white girl, she's so precious. But imagine if it was reversed, But on the other side of that, we are conditioned to hate each other, which is why we do some of the things to each other, and we don't even bat an eye, right? But we've been taught, and this obviously comes from the plantation, to fear white people, and we do that to this day. And that's why I say too, for yourself, for me, and a lot of the people who do what we're doing, it takes courage, because a lot of people, they won't do it. I want to get in trouble at the job, or I don't want nobody white to think I'm but it's like, no, it is what it is. How will our people learn if we keep on biting our tongues because we're afraid to offend white people? And as I always tell people, listen, this ain't about down with white people. This is up with black people. And if you as a white person have a problem with me trying to educate my people about who we are and who we should be, then I don't know what to tell you. But my message ain't really aimed towards you. It's aimed toward my people.
That's it. I don't even know what to tell you, but my message is aimed towards my people. And I think that that's what scares so many of our people, but it's because we've been trained to fear the others. We are still technically in the lands of our captivity. We have not gotten the land that we should have. We have not gotten the reparations that we deserve, the respect collectively that we deserve. And so we're conditioned in that way. And I would even go as far as to say the psychological programming can even be stemmed back in terms of business, back to Black Wall Street, because that was a time when we did gather together, we did unify, we did support and have a very thriving community known as Little Africa in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But then what happened is that it was the first terrorist attack in America, and it was never even told to us until almost 100 years later. Okay, so but the psychology, you pass that down, right? You pass it from one generation of trauma, whereas we unify, we work together, and every time we decide we're going to come together, all of a sudden there's going to be a whole committee that is going to terrorize us and cause us to have to be dispersed through death, through, some other means, but ultimately we're not going to be able to unify as a people. I think that's been the psychological programming that we have. How do we break those psychological chains so that we understand as a people our true power and learn to work together for the betterment of our community?
Well, you know, Assata Shakur said freedom is not free. Malcolm X said if you're not willing to die for freedom, take it out of your vocabulary, you know. So we also as a people got to realize it's going to cost us something. Everybody wants somebody else to do it. I'm going to, you know, be in my living room in the confines of my house. I'm going to be peeking out the curtain, watching everybody else get in the trenches. And so it's going to cost us something as Black people, right? Like, I get it. And listen, I know I'm on, you know, a religious channel, so I won't be respectful. I get it. I pray every day. And you know what reminds me to pray? Just out of being funny, because I cuss a lot. I don't cuss a lot on here. So I might say a bad word early in the morning. I'm like, oh my God. Hey, hold on. Thank you, Allah, for waking me up this morning. You know, that'll remind me to pray, because like, how you cussing before you pray? But what I'm saying is, like, at some point in time, we got to stop waiting on God or Jesus or whoever, right? We're the most praying people. We got the most sores on our knees, right? And my dad always says too, prayer ain't worth a damn at a bear meeting. If a bear is coming to eat you up, you're going to say, oh my gosh, in the name of Jesus, I need you to get the bear. Now you better pick up something and try to go to work. And that's what we as Black people need to understand. We got to stop being afraid. Stop being weak in the knees. You know what I'm saying? Like, if my mom used to always tell me, she goes, I don't like what you're doing. I'm afraid for you. Because, you know, she's from the civil rights generation. But she said, you are the most courageous person I know. My mom has gone on as my ancestor now. But whenever I have a second thought about what I'm doing, I remember what she told me. It might cost me something. But if it's not me, then who? So we got to really stop being afraid. As like, what else do we have to be afraid of? Black people have gone through the most hell than anybody on this planet, and y'all mean to tell me we still run around here shaking in the knees? What you afraid of?
It's funny you said that, because last Shabbat I was in the scriptures and reading in the Old Testament in particular how our people, when they were in the wilderness, that they were constantly complaining about not having food and water. And so they would go about their complaints, and Moshe or Moses was told by the Most High to tell the rock to give them water. But he was angry with us as a people because we constantly complained. And so he struck the rock, right, out of anger. So then the Most High punished Moshe and said, you're not going to lead the people into the promised land because you did that. But then they came across the Edomite land. And the Edomites, they said, hey, brother, you're our brother. Esau, you're our brother. Let us pass through your land. And Esau said, no, I ain't letting you pass through my land. You're going to have to go around the mountain. So they went around the mountain and they were complaining again because they were tired and weary. So this time when they're complaining, the Most High said, all right, I'm so sick of y'all complaining. I'm going to send snakes. And he sent snakes after them, and many of them got sick. Now, this next time when they were facing the Amorites, I believe, they decided to get a backbone. And they said, you know what? I'm tired of just suffering out in this wilderness. If I'm going to pray, I'm going to pray for some strength over my enemies. And so they began to pray and lift up one voice to the Most High, give us strength over our enemies. And he said, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what he gave them the strength to overcome the Amorites. And then they went on to claim that territory. I was so taken aback by that scripture because I said, you know what? Oftentimes when we're coming from a position of either complaining or we're coming from a position of victimhood before our Most High Creator. And at the end of the day, he says, no, you need to come to me with a strong, unified voice and understand that in me, you can do all things because I am a man of war. So all praises to the Most High Yah, because at the end of the day, what I say is that he can direct our path if we can learn to change our mindset and stop looking at ourselves as weaklings. And I just got to step back and I got to complain about my situation. But I ain't trying to leave them leeks and melons. I don't want to leave Egypt because them leeks and melons are still good. I don't want to suffer in the wilderness and only not have any water. We got to stop doing that. If we can decide that we're going to come and affect our prayers and our actions are going to be in one accord and unified together, then he will see us through. He will be the one to separate the wrong points of our thought processes and our actions so that we can work in one accord and be blessed. So that's what I see happening slowly over time, but we are a part of his engine and how he's working to bring his people back from those dry bones and bring some flesh into a unified people and a unified nation once again. This has just, been such a good discussion. I told you I wasn't going to hold you too long tonight, but I wanted
I got a couple of more minutes if you got a couple of more minutes.
Okay, great. I wanted to ask you in terms of your thoughts as far as progression for us as a people, beyond just having that backbone. What is a strategy that we should use as a people going from the Americas, the Caribbean, the UK, into going into Africa? Do you see that for us as a people being able to collectively go back to the continent and build up the continent, especially since all these other nations now are being booted out of the continent? What are your thoughts about us moving forward?
I definitely think that is something we should think about. I mean, I know how a lot of people feel, especially a lot of Black Americans, about not leaving America because, let's be honest, we built this country. But, you know, there are those of us that say, you know, hey, I would love to go and live on the continent. As I said, I've been over there. For one, it's a lot less costly to live over there. And you are going to be predominantly amongst Black people, you know, so over here is not so much. Y'all know we are, about 13-14% of the population, depending on what data you believe. So you're going to really be amongst your people. So if that's something you want to do, great. If not, that's great too. I know a lot of people waiting on reparations, and I believe that is going to come. But I know when I get mine, I'm out of here. You know, well, I'm gonna stay over here for.
Hey man, I'm out of here too. I'm out of here. I got folk already over there just building up, folk in Tanzania, helping the locals to build up because they're like in a wilderness state. And they say, no, let's take all of the creativity that we have, because you know it's built into our bones, and let's begin to build up our people in the continent. And I love that. I think that that's so important. What are some of the things that you think that we could bring to the continent collectively? Because I know the conversation about America, and yes, we did build this nation. Everywhere we've gone, we've built up. What are some of the things that we can do as far as infrastructure, as far as creativity, what we could bring to the table in order to help the continent regain its standard, its place in the world as the wealthiest nation once again? What are your thoughts about that?
I think wherever we go, the most valuable thing we can take is unity. We can take unity because, you know, there's a lot of people going over there, whether you're Black, Asian, or whatever. They're going to the continent for self, right? And if you know anything about the diaspora, we are supposed to unify. We're supposed to come together because we are mightier together. So without unity, we're not going to be able to do anything collectively. Everything else will follow after that. So I think that's the most valuable thing we could do. But unity has to start here, right? We got to get that in our mind. Like, and I know there's a lot of conversation about, you know, Africans this and Black America. I don't get into all of that, okay? Because I believe that we as Black people, we are one. And that's where we should be trying to, that's the direction we should try to go. So we definitely should be taking unity if we don't take nothing else.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And then too, with the conversation, because there's a lot of diverse points when it comes to ideology and beliefs. That is something among us that we have to understand is natural because everything was taken from us. Like, I mean, come on. When people say that to us, like, oh, you don't know this and you don't know that, that's because it was literally taken from us. Okay. Our names, our lineage, our culture, our faith, what we called our Father in heaven, all of that was taken from us. So we are a people that is constantly trying to find ourselves from one generation to the next. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think that we need to allow people to box us in and compartmentalize and say, oh, I don't agree with your position ideologically, or I don't agree with your religion. That's what's kept us, because many of us, if we're quite honest, we believed in white Jesus forever. Okay. We have believed in, let's just keep it 100. So now our eyes are opening and we're being able to see some things from a different perspective. We have to have that patience, I would say, even with one another. And I think that that's what we miss. We miss that patience because we're so ready to cut each other off. Oh, I don't agree with you here. I don't agree with you there. We deal with that with our family members. But how do we get into a place of unity if we can't even sit down long enough to be able to talk through things? Like, I recently found out, and I can't say it's necessarily recently, within the year, I was scared about taking the DNA test, right? Because I don't want them having my DNA. But then, girl, I told you, I don't trust the government. But I was like, I want to have my DNA. But then I thought about it, I'm like, the many times I've been to the hospital and gave birth, they've been had my DNA. Okay, they've been had it. So let me at least understand what's going on up in my body. So I went ahead and I did a DNA test. And I end up finding out that my people are from the Igbo people. Now, the funny thing about that is that Igbo is what they called us before they brought us here to America. We were Igbo, then we went to Negro. But before we were Igbo, we were Hebrew or Hebrew. And so when I looked at my DNA and I saw in Nigeria that out of all the tribes that my lineage came from the Igbo people, I said, well, hallelujah. I know who I am. I have a sense of direction about who I am and my people. And that is what we have to do, is to gradually, in patience, as the scripture says, we deal in patience with one another. Why? Because we understand that we as a people have been destroyed for a long time because of a lack of knowledge. So as we're patient with one another, then we can help each other understand what's been taken from us, so that now we can begin to get restored. And so I say with confidence now who I am. I say I am from the Igbo people, that my people were taken from Nigeria and West Africa. And even as a homeschool mom, I'm going to be printing out the Negro land map, because on the Negro land map of 1747, I'm not sure if you're familiar with that map, but that map is what tells where our people were on the slave coast, the grain coast, and the gold coast. And it says there that that was the kingdom of Judah. So I want my children to have a better awareness, because the next generation is really what's going to be the ones that set in stone, if you will, what's going to happen to us collectively. You know, we're beautiful, but we're getting older. You know, we're getting wiser. Okay. But our next generation, as you said, your daughter is 30. You have any grandbabies coming? Okay, we're gonna have a conversation with your grandbaby, with your daughter.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, because I always say to no, I don't have any grandchildren. But I like to jokingly but seriously say to people when they say, "You ain't got any grandkids," I'm like, "Don't ask me about no grandchildren unless you ask me about a son-in-law." Because that's how we do it around here. My daughter knows she better not be bringing no babies up in here unless she got a son-in-law attached to it.
Repeat that one for them folk in the back. You understand what I'm saying? That's right. It.
Yeah, no, ain't no baby, no grandbabies without a son-in-law.
That's right. We doing things in a righteous order. That's right. Marriage first. That's the way it's supposed to be. But that's the next generation that's coming up. You hear my little guy in the back. I'm raising the next generation. I'm right now in the thicket of raising the next generation that is going to be representing us as a nation. And so therefore, we have to be able to pour into them. And what we're doing through the work that we're doing online, whether we know it or not, it's even making a huge impact. I want to give you an opportunity to say a couple of things before we get ready to close up, because you know my little man, he like, "Mama, you better hurry up." But but I want to give you an opportunity to say a couple of things that are on your heart that maybe you didn't get to express this evening, and also tell people where they can follow you.
Well, thank you so much once again for inviting me on your platform. It has been a pleasure. And thank you all who are in the comment section. Love and appreciate you all dearly. You know, my thing is, I'm really big on emotional intelligence, which basically means just being in control of your emotions, which I know that's not always easy to do. But we as Black people, sometimes we are really emotional, right? And we really should be more logical, you know? Think about things that, like, I get it. Emotions are good in certain aspects, but we as Black people, we're out of time. We don't have time to sit up and, wow, you know, you said this, you said that, and you hurt my feelings, all that. We got to really start putting our thinking caps on and being critical thinkers. And you also brought up my people were destroyed for their lack of knowledge. And the other part of that scripture is a lot of people don't talk about. It says, and their rejection of truth.
Thank you. No, I ain't bring that up, but that's amen.
and that's, I think, you know, really the most important part of that is because a lot of times when our people get the truth, we reject it. Nah, ain't what my mama, my grandmama, and all them told me. And it's like, okay, well, can you concede that maybe your grandmama and your granddaddy and all them were not correct, or maybe it was correct for them back then, but it's not correct now. So we got to really just sometimes sit with the new information, think about it and say, okay, well, that makes sense. So I'm really big on that. Let's be logical, because I saw also in the comment section when I mentioned Allah, I saw some people was like, did she say Allah? Well, I mean, again, if we're thinking logical, what does Allah mean? Who is Allah? Allah is God. It's just another name to call God, just like Yeshua, God, or whatever you call it, Buddha, if that's what your thing. That is, a God, I would imagine. But see, that's why also I don't get too caught up into religion. I know about religion, but I don't get too caught up into it, because a lot of times it's too territorial. And religion in our community, it causes a schism, because it causes us to be territorial. Oh, I belong to that. I belong to that. It's like, well, can we at least put our religion to the side so we can build a nation just for a little bit? Or how about you worship what you want to worship? I worship what I want to worship, or not. But our main goal is still to nation build. Honestly, like I said, and y'all want to know something else about me? Both of my degrees are from a Christian college. I don't talk about it a lot. So I do know the word. I spent quite a bit of time, in the church myself, but I rarely bring those things up, because what is it all worth at the end of the day? Black people, we've been on our knees forever. And I know I'm probably going to get myself in trouble. I know we're the chosen people. We're disobedient. I know all about that. But I know that our ancestors on the plantation was hollering in the name of Jesus, and he never came down for whatever reason and helped them. All the way to this moment, Black people are on our knees. And at some point in time, we got to say, all right, maybe we need to get up, get together, and come with a game plan and surmount as much as we can, because I know there's systemic and institutional racism, but a lot of that we can overcome ourselves. But we got to stop being emotional. Religion sometimes, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from religion, so please do not mistake me in that. But sometimes it does keep us in our emotions instead of being logical. And most of those pastors that y'all sit up in their church, the last thing they want y'all to do is be critical thinkers. Because if you critically think, then their congregation is probably going to be really empty. If they make y'all more critical thinkers than emotional, they're probably going to have an empty church.
I like this message here by Teo Ministries. Allah or Allahim, Hebrew versus Arabic. There's so many words, like we look at the word salam, right? So y'all say, the Muslims will say like, assalamu alaikum, right? But salam in Arabic is salama in Hebrew, right? So we say salama oftentimes. There's so many things and variations of words in which have been changed that we're not aware of. And so we have to be very careful, again, to be patient with one another. And I think, unfortunately, I want to go longer. My little man is calling for me.
I get it.
But I will say that we as believers, I'm going to tell you 100%, I believe that we are called to go out and we are called to nation build for the kingdom of Yah. That is for sure. Yahushua HaMashiach is the savior. But I believe that what you said about emotional intelligence is how we're going to do it. We cannot sit here and beat down and browbeat one another and expect that we're going to be able to unify on any level. We have to be able to be patient to hear from one another. I just began recently saying Alua versus Elohim because of the A, which is in, of course, the A is the first letter. So I'm learning as I go. But I appreciate you taking the time, sis. I appreciate you coming out. And I want everybody to just give them the opportunity to follow you on the platforms that you have. So where can they follow you at?
They can follow me at Demetra K, as you see there. You type that in YouTube, Demetra K. I'm also on Facebook, but mostly I do a lot of my work on YouTube. But I want to warn you. I really must warn you. Listen, on my channel, we keep it real. Sometimes I'm going to say some stuff you do not like, and you're going to be like, you know what? I hate her. But at the end of the day, I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. But I'm going to say what I got to say. And we don't agree. That's fine. But come back the next time I'm live and maybe we'll agree. But so what I'm saying is I ain't for the weak. But we gonna learn from each other. That's all I got to say about that.
That sounds like the Shonda Large platform too. And y'all know where y'all can find me. All right. So we're going to keep it 100. We're going to keep it a butt. All love here. Thank you so much, Demetra, for coming out. We appreciate you so much. And we'll talk a little bit later. Blessings to you. Thank you so much, family, for coming out. Thank you, Demetra K audience, for showing up. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. You know what, as I say all the time, family, we got to love ourselves without hating our enemies. What I mean by that, we got to love our community. We got to love our people. And we got to learn how to do it without even worrying about let them haters slide off of our shoulders and keep it moving. So family, peace and blessings to y'all. We love y'all. Y'all have a good night.